Christmas time is here, by golly, disapproval would be folly. Deck the halls with hunks of holly, fill the cup and don't say when. Kill the turkeys, ducks, and chickens, mix the punch, drag out the dickens. Even though the prospect sickens, brother, here we go again. On Christmas Day you can't get sore, your fellow man you must adore. There's time to rob him all the more, the other 306 a day afore. Relations sparing no expensel, send some useless old utensil, or a matching pen and pencil, just the thing I need, how nice. It doesn't matter how sincere it is, nor how heartfelt the spirit. Sentiment will not endear it. What's important is the price. Hark, the Herald Tribune sings, advertising wondrous things. God rest ye merry merchants, may ye make the Yuletide pay. Angels we have heard on high tell us to go out and buy. So let the raucous sleigh bells jingle, hail our dear old friend Kris Kringle, driving his reindeer across the sky. Don't stand underneath when they fly by.
Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo Saturday edition. I'm your host and keeper, the Harry Channel, and with me tonight are minions SkepTok.
Hi, everybody.
And DrFunctional.
Hello.
And I had a teeny update to macOS, and apparently that's destroyed my virtual camera thing. So every single time we go live, there is some technical problem. And it's like, I'm actually reasonably competent. I get paid to not suck at this. and still... Every single time I screw up.
I wish more of our listening audience knew the irony of that remark. What's behind that?
Somebody's saying Sam Freeberg. No, Tom Lehrer.
Yeah, I know. He has the same acerbic take that Freeberg had sometimes, but Tom Lehrer is. I don't know. His voice is so distinctive. It's no problem for me to pick it up.
Yeah. Well, it's sorry, go ahead. Go.
On its surface, I mean, yeah, it is kind of funny that something like as air quotes simple as streaming is problematic, let's put it gently. For you and you made this small empire for yourself doing what you do, which is very similar. However, if you dig a little bit deeper, programs like OBS and StreamYards are so fucked. It actually makes sense because you think too logically for these programs that are completely illogical.
Howdy, hey Camel.
Hey Camel.
Yeah, no, it's
and a Festivus for the rest of us.
I'm not going to bore everybody to tears, but it turns out that doing computer audio in a meaningful way is actually kind of difficult. The video stuff involves a lot of privacy, security stuff. You know, it used to be as simple as just reach into the frame buffer for the video memory and grab whatever you want. And those days are over.
Yep.
That is not the way it works anymore. But the audio stack stuff, if you look at on an Apple, what they call core audio, you know, when you combine the way it works with the way that the security apparatus works, there's just so much that can go wrong. And in all likelihood, OBS is going to need a minor update. And I did check, and when it shows up, it'll all just work next week. But be that as it may, inside baseball, not very interesting. So, Functional, do you have anything you'd like to share with the class before we begin?
Oh, boy. I made a very interesting stew today.
Mm-hmm.
I like my stews. And I started off with a base of, Irish stew, potatoes and beef and, just mirepoix, some good stuff. And I was telling you guys just quickly before the show that, I had these homemade pickled jalapenos in a jar. And something just caught my attention for whatever reason. And as I was going to dump only half the jar in the stew. I ended up not thinking and just dumping the entire thing. It's like, it was burning my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Added a little bit of red wine reduction, a little bit of brown sugar to balance out the flavors, whatever. Because for me, it's one of those things that takes low and slow all day and constantly adjusting and balancing the flavors. But if you do something stupid like that and completely throw things out of whack, it kind of just becomes a whole ordeal. It's kind of like, you in StreamYards or OBS or whatever the frick is giving you problems these days. But like I wanted, it's getting stuffy because the heater's constantly blasting. It's cold outside, and I'm a smoker, so I'm constantly going in and out and in and out and in and out. And I have 2 kittens that I'm not that badly allergic to, but I do have a sensitivity to their odor and dander. So I needed something to just blast, my olfactory senses into cooperating with me. That's why I wanted, a nice chunk of heat, but not no. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're
It's
not
so
congested
good.
anymore,
My
right?
ass.
Yeah.
The longer I reduce it, the more the mirepoix and the potatoes will sort of dissolve and become more or less heat impacted.
Are you putting like a Murphy's or a Guinness or something like that in there? In your Irish stew?
It was Guinness.
Guinness, you say?
And red wine reduction.
And red wine
just sort of give it a little
okay.
bit of a bite afterwards. Like after the jalapeno incident, I needed something a little bit more abrasive than just a stout.
Mhm.
So I needed to give it a little bit of red wine reduction. Like this is all stuff I
Cool.
pre-assemble and have sitting in the fridge ready to go. It's
What
a
kind
very-
of red wine do you put in your beef stew?
It was
Usually.
a Wolf Lass
Well, I mean, what variety?
Australian.
What variety of grape is it that you?
I have no idea.
Oh,
So it's a
okay.
red
Just
table wine. Because I have
It's a
some,
red table wine. Sure.
I have some
Yeah.
port that would probably be brilliant in that recipe.
Yeah.
I'll send
something
you
a
some.
lot
I'll
sweeter
send you
so
some.
I didn't have to use the brown sugar. Would have been really good, but you work with what you got, and it's like the whole point is just so I didn't have to go anywhere all weekend, and I could just dig on some stew all weekend and keep myself warm. And
Oh yeah, Harry scored it out. We can't see who's in the stream. Yes, that is absolutely true. You cannot, because for them to see the articles, I have to display my browser window directly, which basically makes them all disappear because that's the way StreamYard works. So sorry about that.
yeah, I'm kind of confused because I keep looking at both screens, and I'm like, wait, which one is live again?
Yeah, you guys need to send me the icons you want to use so I have them as a backup so I can just manually go here, here, here. I'll just make a layer for each of you. All right. Hi, Scap.
How you doing, Harry? It's good to hear your voice, man.
I've been doing okay. You still sound like you're coming out from around
I'm
the
getting over it.
respiratory tunnel of suck.
The thing I notice as I get older is that colds, they're not any worse, but they last longer.
Mhm.
Take longer to go away. I guess the final one doesn't go away at all. You go away.
But luckily,
But,
time seems to move faster, so it all balances out.
Yeah, exactly. They call pneumonia the old man's friend. That's what they refer to it in, or used to call it that in medical school. And, 'cause it was a peaceful way out for a lot of people. A lot of people just die in their sleep from pneumonia. But it's I'm unfortunately for my enemies though, I don't seem to be dying from it this time. I'm even getting my voice back, so I thought I could come on the show tonight. Last week I just did not have. I couldn't talk, and I was just exhausted, from just being sick. So sorry to miss last week.
Oh,
It's great
gosh.
to be back here.
No, it was actually fine. I think we had a pretty good time last week.
Sure sounded like it was a good show.
Well, there were a few
Enjoyed
things
the show.
we didn't cover because it's like I wouldn't do it without you. But
Yeah.
it was fine. But
Yeah.
we're not going to get Sora tonight because she's doing a dinner thing, and Serenity's dealing with some family stuff. So it's she may
Question for
join
you,
us
Harry.
later,
Do
which
you
would be
get-
good.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead. What?
Do you get sick? Like, do you get colds?
Sometimes.
Because I'm having a hard ass time, and I even asked Elwin the other day. Like, I don't get sick. It's so like with all my health problems, I don't get colds and flus. It's weird. I'm trying so hard to remember. Like, sure, when I was a kid, yeah, maybe, and it just popped into my mind because I was watching.
Do you have to brag like that? You know, Karma watches the show.
No, this
Please,
reminds
Skep,
me.
if I could make the trade off to get colds and flus and be susceptible to that shit and be able to walk properly.
Well, let me ask you the question, Functional. So, Functional, do you have the symptoms? Any symptoms that you know of that you would associate with a potential autoimmune disease?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, because there are things that can cause you trouble. Like I had a friend, what did she have? Lupus. Now, by the way, this friend of mine, was easily the best female programmer I've ever met, if not one of the top 10 just programmers. I don't mean to just because she's a woman, but people say women can't code. Not all.
No.
There are some that are really good.
I've known. Yeah.
And my friend Ruth was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Anyway, she had lupus, and she would just never get colds or sick or flu or any of that stuff. Of course, she had to deal with all this autoimmune crap. But her immune system was so ramped up all the time that one time she actually got like a mild cold, and she's like, I guess they over-medicated me ever so slightly. That was the only way they could tell that they'd done a little bit too much, given a little too much of that juice to kind of slow everything down. There are tests that your doctor can do, but usually unless you have symptoms for an autoimmune thing, they're not going to run, I think it's called a SED rate, sedimentation rate, and it's a way of measuring how vigorous your immune system is.
Mm-hmm.
It may also just be that your lifestyle's different. Now, like Skep has all these people that love and care about him in his life, including little snot-nosed tiny ones and people who work with snot-nosed tiny ones, go out into the world and bring all these things home. And Skep is at a nexus of viruses and bacteria, I'm afraid.
Like you read about.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you're never going to be patient 0, but you might end up being patient 1.
Harry, this is not exaggeration. I wash my hands. 10, 12 times a day. Every day. Just from the sheer amount of shit that I get into that, and I've mostly been able to completely avoid respiratory. This is the first cold I've had in years.
Yeah. I was pretty robust for a long time, and then I took this trip to Washington, D.C., I want to say in 95, 96, and I got so sick. It was like the first time I'd ever gotten something I thought, if this was 200 years ago, I'd be dead now.
Right.
I got something, I was like, bordering on being delirious from a high fever and trying to function and get on airplanes and stuff. And
did you take antibiotics to get over it, or did you just get well?
The big thing that helped me get over it was I had this doctor who got me on like the maximum dose of expectorant. And that combined with just rest was the thing that did most of it. There was a dose of antibiotics, but just weeks, of expectorants got everything cleared up. Because I pretty much just screwed up my lungs and everything. It was all not good. No. But for the most part, I don't really get sick all that much, at least not respiratory stuff. But this is not interesting for anybody, I promise. Let me see what's going on. Who's in tonight? Skep, Functional, me. Hopefully Serenity will join us. I suppose there's an outside chance that Sora might join late. Let's hope for that. Let's see. What was I going to tell you about? Oh, well, we've done so much talking, I forgot what it was I was going to say. We could probably just leap right into things. No, it's fine. In terms
to derail things.
No, in terms of... let's do some follow-ups on some of the things that we've talked about, if that's okay. Yeah, because everybody likes a little follow-up. Because just because we talk about something doesn't mean, that we just let it go.
Well, yeah.
I like to
the deal
see
in
things
Israel
through.
is still a problem. We probably should, please touch on that.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so remember I mentioned that there was a probe going to Psyche. that had a laser on it, and they were going to start experimenting with using lasers to send back video or send back data to the Earth, as opposed to the really low bandwidth stuff. They thought, hey, why don't we use lasers and just really, because freaking lasers are cool, so that we can actually move data a lot more quickly. Well, it turns out that what they did was they actually streamed an 8K cat video using the laser at over 267 megabits per second. That is like so much more than they've ever had, you know, connected to something in space. It was this video right here. I'll kill the sound. But it's actually a video of a cat chasing a laser pointer, which I find to be
Yes,
really.
I saw this. This was amazing.
Well, you're using a laser to send an 8K video of a cat chasing a laser pointer. I think that's kind of cool.
I've got a poodle that does exactly the same thing, by the way.
Is your poodle in
will
space?
Chase the laser pointer. Anyway. Sorry.
I was trying to get some baby ducks out of a swimming pool one time, and I got out a green laser pointer, and it turns out baby ducks will swim in unison, like in formation toward a green laser pointer.
Really?
Yeah.
How interesting.
I was surprised as well. I was trying to convince them to get up and out of the pool.
The green laser pointer effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oddly, Mom sort of ignored it, but the babies were like, okay, let's go. Oh, wait, Mom's too far away. And then they'd go back to Mom. And I tried to just sort of finesse them out of the swimming pool so they wouldn't just end up in this pool filter. Ducks are not very smart.
That's fair. I mean, they're smarter than Democrats, but they're...
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, they are delicious.
They are.
They are delicious. So
I've actually had duck l'orange. It's amazing.
So another follow-up, the James Webb Space Telescope has taken some pictures of Uranus or Uranus, however you prefer to pronounce that. And
I had that done 6 years ago. Anyway.
And it's actually showing all kinds of structure in the ring system, which is amazing.
Yes.
The fact that we've got a telescope that's near Earth that's able to tease out structure that space probes previously weren't able to see shows you just how good the James Webb Space Telescope is.
I'm sorry. I know it's a sausage fest tonight, but I'm getting a bit of a chub because of this. Like,
well, okay.
When I first saw this the other day, I was just like enamored. I mean,
well, look at Hubble on the left,
constantly
dude.
About the James Webb, but like,
yeah. Well, look at Hubble on the left. You see just this faintest outline of a ring, and then you see the James Webb one, and it's like, holy crap! There's like multiple rings with structure and things.
It almost looks photoshopped.
It does.
That doesn't look possible. That much difference. Man, that's amazing. You see the polar cap.
Yeah, wow, maybe it just used AI to tease the detail out.
Yeah, that's great.
I hear this AI thing's really going to catch on.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a flash pan, just like this whole personal computer thing.
Yeah. Well, everybody's favorite Argentinian president, well, at least mine, if this is going to load.
Mine too.
Javier Milei is starting to do his job and trying to save his country from oblivion.
Financial oblivion. Anyway.
So he's doing all the austerity things that he needs to do. There's really nothing else he can do. That's a given. That's not the interesting part of the conversation. However, what he's said is, I guess there's a history of, in Argentina, when people don't like something, they protest, and I'm going to do this in quotes. And this is actually, I'm going to direct this to Functional first. One of the things that they do is they just basically start banging pots and pans and they shut it all down.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what he's decided to do here is, if you try to cripple the economy by shutting everything down, by blocking all the roads so nothing can move, they're going to use facial recognition and arrest records and all this stuff, and they're just going to bill you for the time of the police that they had to use to drag your ass off the road so that traffic could move. Now, this sounds really great, but the obvious question is, why is it okay for him to do that, but not okay for Justin Trudeau to do the same thing with the honk fest outside the Capitol? Because back when we were talking about the situation in Toronto, I think we were all pretty sympathetic with the protesters. I was the one person that said, well, yeah, but they should kind of leave one lane free for like, ambulances and people to get to and from work. I mean, I believe in speech, but I don't believe in gridlock. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but they seem very.
Though. The truckers were actually very cognizant of such things.
Okay.
The difference is what happened behind the scenes, not during the protest or to the protesters directly, because they're fucking my government's cabinet, Trudeau's cabinet, are fucking pussies, and the Ottawa police are complete fucking pussies. That they went after people's bank accounts and their families and other things extraneous to a protest. And yeah, I agree with you. You can protest. You have every right to protest. You can't block roadways. You can't fuck with people. You can air your grievances. I think that that's a beautiful thing that in the Western world, we enshrine that. We try to do our best to allow everyone, especially the people we disagree with, to be able to air these grievances and say to them, and this is such the important thing about not censoring on social media, the new public square, is that you want people, even with the bad ideas, to be able to say, hey, these are bad ideas because X, Y, Z, and prove them wrong in real time, in real conversation, even though it's not meat space, it's real conversation.
Check the private chat. No, I think we agree pretty much about that. I don't have much sympathy for people who shut down other people's ability to do their stuff. When I was at university, I had some protesters try to stop me from going to the library one time. Let's just say I got into the library. It wasn't really a problem, but I was...
Get the hell out of my way.
Yeah, well, I didn't really fit in with most of the student body.
Yeah.
I may have been carrying a briefcase and wearing a trench coat. I don't know. It's just a thing. But shall we? So I was looking at this Millet thing. Okay, it looks like we have no objections. Yeah, let's see. Hold on, a little housekeeping thing here.
I can do it, Harry.
Okay, please do. Thank you.
Done.
All right. So, of course, I know that I occasionally get accused of simping too much for Ronald Reagan, and that's probably a legitimate thing to say. But it's kind of like when people talk about like their favorite Doctor Who. It's like, for me, it's Tom Baker. When it comes to American presidents, there's a lot of things I liked about Reagan. So I'm sorry if this seems like simping, but this is like, here's just a little parallel with Millet and Reagan. Okay. Let's see, why are we not getting audio? This is going to be a very short show if nobody can actually hear audio.
Advance that if the university sought to go ahead with that construction, they were going to physically destroy the university. Now, why did you
negotiate many times?
Negotiate? What is to negotiate? What is?
What it was university is a public institution.
That's right. But the university,
its own community, and for the community of Berkeley that live around it.
All of it began the first time some of you who know better and are old enough to know better let young people think that they had the right to choose the laws they would obey as long as they were doing it in the name of social protest.
Okay. I can say I still really like Ronald Reagan.
He was fucking pissed that day.
He was
furious.
He was not taking any prisoners.
No.
You remember when the air traffic controllers tried to go on strike?
Yeah, that's right.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. Fire him.
Yeah.
Fire everyone. Everyone who doesn't come to work.
He came out and gave this big, long press conference, like presidents used to do, not like the one we currently have.
Yeah.
And he gave this big, long press conference where he just said, look, this is what was in the oath that they took when they took these federal jobs to act as air traffic controllers. You have till tomorrow to be back at work, or, you don't have a job. Just see ya. And, I think he did exactly the right thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody said that set back unions 50 years. But in point of fact, those guys had really overstepped their bounds and had done something completely illegal.
Yeah.
Illegal and hatefully dangerous. And he just said, fuck you. You know, safety first. You're out of here.
Yeah, he was less polite than Margaret Thatcher was to the coal miners in the UK. Hi, Spud Gun.
Yep.
Hello, Harry, Skep, and Functional.
See you, Spud?
Hi, guys.
I'm just stuck in the 80s sometimes.
Well, the thing is, with mentioning Thatcher and the miners, right, if you have a look at some of the inverted commas coppers, right, you'll find that there weren't coppers. They were actually army.
Oh, really?
Well, get her
Yeah.
done.
There was
Whatever
sent
it
in.
takes, I guess, but okay.
Yeah, they basically, because a mate of mine is ex-job, he used to be in the Met. I'm going back years. But basically, you can tell by the way they had the kit set up.
Mhm.
So, yeah, some of them were not coppers. So they got the head smashed in by squaddies. But Scargill was a prick anyway.
I think a lot of those people are unpleasant at that level.
Yeah. But
Kind of goes with
Well,
the territory.
yeah, but going back to the Reagan quote, this is why he was known as the great communicator. Because he was very much able to make his exact point understandable in as few words as possible.
Hmm. One of the things that Reagan had going for him was that he had been a TV personality. One of the things that he hosted was the 20 Mule Team Borax Western Hour. He hosted that for a while and some other stuff on TV. He was a well-known, well respected and familiar sounding, very comforting, even sounding voice of a tall, good-looking white male, which was the archetype of everything that represented solidity
And to
and
build the best countries.
right. Well, yeah, it's just that's what was symbolic of success at that time. You know, by the turn of the 1950s through the 60s.
Yep.
And he was just the perfect man at the perfect time to be president. I remember my parents saying it's impossible for an actor to be president.
From Helen Gahagan to Ronald Reagan? Wait, no,
That's
it's another.
George Murphy is the star who's done the best by far. Oh, gee, it's great. At last we have a senator who can really sing and dance.
Yeah, good times.
Yep.
The thing is, though, I mean, he had that rugged handsomeness,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so...
And that devil may care kind of open Midwest accent.
Yes.
Well, let me keep the show moving along. I want to show you this. We don't have to spend a lot of time talking about this. Let's just bathe in a little bit of irony, schadenfreude. Migrant families rally for end to New York's 60-day limit on shelter stays. So Sanctuary City, New York, has basically said, yeah, we'll put you up in our shelters, but you can't stay there for more than 60 days. And needless to say, the people who came here looking for a better life and nothing else don't think that's such a great plan. I think secretly, I think Mayor Adams would really like it if a lot of these people would just voluntarily choose to go back home. But he can't afford to say that politically.
Oh, God, no, it'd kill him.
Yeah.
But on a related but slightly tangent, on a slight
Tangential.
tangent, thank you. Have you heard what Greg Abbott's done to Chicago.
Yeah,
No. Well, I've heard
he's
many
sending
things.
planes with hundreds of migrants to O'Hare Airport. They're landing
Because they
there
make
tonight.
it impossible for the buses. And I just thought, I mean, first off, the fact that it doesn't matter where they go, they're still letting them in. That's still a massive problem. But sort of the testicular fortitude to say, okay, we can't send buses. Here's a couple of private jets. See you later.
Yeah, you can't exactly close the airport. So, Spud Gun, now, a lot of people have probably heard me say the same things over and over and over again, but I've got you here, and you're new-ish. We haven't chatted as many times, so I'm going to take advantage of that fact. Back in the 70s, California, and I guess the United States actually, had this thing called the Bracero program. And what would happen is migrant farm workers would come up from Mexico. They would work the harvest season only. The places where they would stay were pretty meager. They would come up, they would work their ass off. And they would take what, for our purposes, was a pretty small amount of money, but for their purposes was enough money to take care of their families in relative comfort for the entire year. And they would go back home with that money. And all their little children would come up and greet them, and he'd give them souvenirs or whatever, and they'd give this big pile of money to his wife, and they would live a pretty darn good life. Because if you look at the needs of agriculture, it's very much seasonal in terms of when you need the big labor force. So this was a win-win-win for everybody, because the American dollar went so far down in Mexico that this was just a win for everybody involved. But of course, people had to come in and make it into something else. Like, why can't this person, bring their family? Why are we exploiting this person? I mean, I personally don't view it as exploitation, okay? But that's neither here nor there. And we changed it so all these people would bring their families. And then what you end up with is a bunch of people here that are here all year who only get seasonal income and live in poverty, as opposed to living in relative luxury in their home country. Now, this is probably where Skep could step in and say, I've got really rose-colored glasses on about this thing. That's the way it was supposed to work, and I'm sure there's examples of it not working perfectly every single time. But I still think that it costs, every American dollar goes 10 times farther to help people in these other countries versus bringing them here. It's like the amount of money that we're spending to put these people in these shelters and the other things, we could fix so many problems in their countries for far less money and come out ahead. And I'm just talking about just money and money. That's all.
What's the problem with that? What's the problem with that?
The problem is you inject a bunch of U.S. money into an area and it destabilizes their currency. And it causes a lot of other economic problems.
That's assuming that the money is employed as you put it in. A lot of the problem with this is that just getting money into those areas is impossible. Right now, the biggest, most visible trouble spot in the world is happening in Israel. We can't get food trucks in there without them being robbed by the bad guys who ostensibly are being hunted like, dogs and being shot on the street. Yet they're able to do that. My point is, there's just so much corruption in so much of the international stuff. There's no way to take the money that you spend dealing with people who show up here, and there's no way to redeploy that in any effective way. There's not even a way to formulate a way to deploy that money, because the corruption is so it's through everything. It's thoroughgoing, and it's in every country, even a lot of the developed Western countries.
Right, Skep.
Well, hold on. Functional was trying to get something in there, and then you Spud Gun.
No, I just said I was agreeing with Skep. I was saying it's permeated everything at this point.
Yeah, I was thinking a little bit of the Bracero program, but in terms of people who don't come here and work, for the Bracero program, the money traveled directly from the people working here to their families and was spent in those communities. If you've got somebody who's not coming here and we're just shipping them buckets of money, yeah, that is a much harder problem to solve. So I may have I may have moved the goalpost around a little bit. Sorry about that. Go Spud.
Yeah, no, I think Skep moved the goalpost because I was going to say that you, if you're paying somebody, a seasonal worker, to actually work, and they can do 3 or 4 months' work, and that 3 or 4 months then allows them to live comfortably, you know, even a sort of upper working class, lower middle class lifestyle back home for those other 8 or 9 months, then that's not a bad thing. Okay, but what Skep has done is he's moved it onto the NGO stroke charity sphere, which I don't think it is, which is not the point you were making.
Well, I was
Basically-
clumsy. I was clumsy about it, and he was right to sort of point it out. But I think we all know what we're all saying, right? At this
Yeah.
point, we've sorted it out. I think we need to move on to the next thing because I just looked. If we gave 5 minutes to everything I have written down, we would be here for 170 minutes, and I don't think Skep's going to last that long.
No, I'll be fine.
Okay,
I'll take drugs.
let me make sure nobody else is trying to get in.
Drugs. Some are good, some are bad.
Let's
Drugs,
see.
drugs. Ask your
Uh,
mom or ask your dad.
here you
Smoke some
can.
no-dos.
Right.
Here we can just give
With all
this.
due respect, we had in the early 90s, right, one of the biggest dance hits had everybody singing "Ease a Good," you know, so
I don't know that one.
Ebenezer Good by the Shaman.
No, that's
No.
not me. I was going to Mel Torme concerts during that period of time. So what do I know? And Manhattan Transfer and Lyle Lovett.
Velvet
and
Fog will not let you do.
I'm the most. I'm one of the most boring people you'd ever hope to
I like
not
Mel
meet.
Torme.
I love Mel Torme.
I like boring people.
Oh, well, we should get along fine. California's toilet to tap approved. Treated sewage comes back into homes. This is a dumb article because, first of all, how many times, Skep, do people on the International Space Station say, "Does this tang taste a little funny to you?" Because
Yeah.
we've had
Right.
people on submarines and in space. And I mean, we've been recycling wastewater with human waste in it into potable water for decades now.
That's just not a big deal.
This is just not a big deal. But of
It's
course, the
not
New
a
York
big
Post is just trying to be, they're trying to be provocative
Sensational, yeah.
because California heard her. I mean, we're guilty of a lot of stuff and we'll get to that. But this seems like a nothing burger to me.
Yeah, I would agree
It's
with you.
more than a nothing burger because you'll find that the water they're actually talking about is what's called grey water.
No, they're talking about as drinking water.
Yeah, no, the stuff that gets treated and sent back is what's called grey water.
No,
You get grey
that we've
water
had
and
gray
brown
water for a long time, and we used. Well, okay, you're thinking that they're only talking about recycling gray water for drinking? Is that what you're saying? Like literally the gray water from houses?
Yes.
Okay.
Hang on, no, because you can't. Sorry, I've just thought about it.
Yeah.
It is basic, yeah, but we can clean water now to the point where about all that's left in it is the stuff that they put in birth control pills. So
We can take water and clean it out so that all that's left in it is hydrogen and oxygen.
It's homeopathic fish poop, Skep. That's the problem. See, because the less fish poop there is in it, the more powerful the fish
precisely.
poop.
Exactly.
It's like literally like drinking a fish poop slushy. That's what we're talking about. Because it's so powerful homeopathically. Homeopathy is the dumbest thing in the world.
It absolutely
It
is.
really is.
That and crystal healing, they're tied.
Okay.
that and chiropractic.
Well, no, homeopathy is worse than chiropractic. So
Yes,
Oakland
it
Group
is.
starts no bippin campaign against vehicle break-ins. Now I was wondering, what the heck is bippin? A longtime business owner has brought together other restaurants and shops in downtown and near Lake Merritt to create a no bippin' allowed zone to stop more car break-ins. Bippin' is a term for breaking into a car, and the community hopes that effort can partner with the city and police to reduce this crime. Because we all know that posting a sign saying that you're in a no XYZ zone automatically decreases XYZ.
Hey, isn't Chicago a no murder zone?
Bipping is a specific thing, Harry.
Yeah.
Bipping is when you take like a spark plug, I think it's spark plugs, and you throw the spark plug at a car window and it will break the car window because they're very dense with and it makes a bip kind of noise. And it's an onomatopoeia word.
Okay.
So it sounds a little bit like it. That's the specific way that they break into cars.
Well, that's the origin of the word.
What I think it is.
That's the origin of the word. That makes sense.
The old word is that.
But it's what do we call this? Is this the African American vernacular English or whatever it's referred to? No, Ebonics is a separate thing. That's where they tried to make
African American vernacular English
stuff into like a thing like Esperanto, I believe, wasn't it?
Well, no, Ebonics was just saying that instead of saying this, it was also acceptable to say dis, D-I-S, and it was spelled D-I-S, and it was just the expansion of the English language to include, common black dialectical expressions. As I understand it, that's what they were trying to do.
Yeah, but yeah. Hey, you're not allowed to shoot people here. Yeah, that works well.
Those gun-free zones, yeah, they're working so well.
Oh, gun-free zones. I mean, they're absolutely brilliant.
They are.
Because as the
key
old
is to
saying
remind the criminal before he shoots you that he's not supposed to have that gun there, so he'll do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like
If
wearing
you
an
outlaw
anti-bad
guns-
touch T-shirt and walking through like Malmo. It's not gonna get you where you need to be.
No square.
Or actually parts of Naples, but anyway.
Oh, that's right. I need to add that to the soundboard. Let's see. So, despite the crackdown on crime, many Oakland residents and businesses are seeing improvements. So, statistically, they're looking at some pretty big reductions since they actually started trying to halfway do their job. But it's still so freakishly miserable that a lot of people who are running businesses are like, why am I even bothering? It's like, it's great that it's down 50%. I've still been broken into 3 times in the last month. And you can't run a business like that.
No,
3 times a month that's too often.
Yeah,
twice a month is okay.
Well, I think even once a month is if you know your window repair. If you know your window repair guy on a first name basis and know what's going on with his kids and stuff, you probably are in the wrong city.
Oh, I was thinking in terms of the number of people you're shooting who come into your shop and try to rob you.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about it.
3 or 4 a month, so you can really help the community.
Yeah. So, Skep, if you had a business in San Francisco and you were in a high crime area, would you? You'd probably want to do something to make your store harder to break into, wouldn't you?
Yes, that's what I would do. I would do something to make my store harder to break into.
Now, I know what you personally would do. Let's pretend somebody who's less well-trained was going to do something.
Yeah,
I'm talking like an architectural solution.
You walk into SkepTok's store.
Not grumpy Skep sitting in a chair.
That happens is a red dot appears on your chest.
Well, like for instance, you could try to put a security gate up, but it turns out that they've got a bunch of red tape surrounding putting up a security gate on your storefront in San Francisco. Only in San Francisco could you make it hard for people to secure their businesses. You can't put a security gate in front of your storefront on street level without a permit from the city. And if you do it because you just are tired of being robbed, they fine you thousands and thousands of dollars.
Why?
Well, okay, their rationale is that in order to make the business district appealing, They want enough light to come from the inside the businesses to filter out through the security gate that it makes things look nicer at night for people who are passing through the area. I wish I was joking, but I'm not. They do say that
this is what happened.
They've relaxed the rules a little bit recently, but you have to maintain like a little window so that the fire department can look through so that they can see if there's a fire going on inside your business. Yeah, and of course, it's the city of San Francisco, so they move with all the efficiency that you would expect. So businesses, some people have tried to get these gates up, and when they try to do it, they give up and they just put them in, and then the city fines them several $1,000s because San Francisco. They really appreciate the business people in San Francisco, don't they? Yeah.
Very much so.
So moving on to the block where we talk about energy stuff, visualized per capita electricity emissions by state. So this fine graph actually shows the amount of carbon dioxide per capita per state for electricity generation. And you see some pretty big differences. So like California, it's 1.21 tons per person. And you compare that to Wyoming, which is 68.77 tons per person. And the primary difference is that the big power source for California is natural gas. And of course, everything's really efficient. And in Wyoming, it's freezing ass cold and everything is powered by coal. Now, I was going to ask Serenity about the 35.84 for West Virginia, but she couldn't make it tonight. But in the big scheme of things, I know that most people don't think this stuff really matters, but I found it kind of interesting that there was such a huge disparity between the states. I mean, these aren't small differences, but it shouldn't surprise me too much because we have so much different climate and resources and everything.
Point out some big differences. I can barely read that.
Oh, sorry. Well, the 68.77 for Wyoming versus 1.2 for California stands out, but North Dakota is 37.
Yes.
Now, Texas, you guys are using the same main power source as California, natural gas, but you're actually using 6.96 instead of our 1.21, which I think means you just use a lot more power than we do per person. Probably. California is an annoying place.
We have such a huge air conditioning bill down here. I mean, that is a huge source of power down here that you just do not have. We have just more people need more air conditioning than in California.
Well, the other part of this is there's a little icon here, which might be hard for you to read, that says what the main power source actually is for that state. And I'm proud to see that Illinois actually is a little atom symbol. So they're actually primarily nuclear. And a number of the northern states, extreme northern ones, some of them are actually using, like Maine is hydro, is its primary thing. So sort of like functional, they're getting a lot of their stuff from hydro. I mean, the United States is a big place.
We do have quite a bit of hydro, but it's mostly nuclear at this point.
Yeah.
Not according to that chart, it isn't.
Well, he's not on this chart. He's in Canada, Stan.
Oh.
Down. No. Your mouse now to your right. Nope. You were right there. I want to point it out to Spud. Move your mouse over to the left.
Okay.
To Michigan, up.
Yeah.
Now to the right. Just right there. That's exactly where I am.
Yeah.
Spud. See, I'm just on the tip of the phallus of Canada that's penetrating the United States.
That's the part we should have kept.
You should have, but you didn't.
I know.
Yeah.
We fucked that up. We really did.
So you're pretty much in Ottawa?
Toronto.
Toronto.
Same shit, different pile.
Yeah. Less French.
Oh, that's good.
Here.
It's less French in Toronto, isn't it?
But that's because that's because Ottawa is full of all the politicians who are all bilingual. So it breeds more of the bilingualism.
Are they all bi?
Yes.
So Spittlebuggies is pointing out Northern California uses hydro, mainly Shasta Dam, etc. Yeah, well, that is actually true. PG&E and Duke Energy and stuff have like this whole bunch of hydropower up there. And it's pretty damn fantastic. I spent a lot of time up there when I was a kid and a few times as an adult. North Fork of the Feather River, Shasta, Oroville. You get a lot of power generation out of those rivers. But
It's cool country up there.
Do you say gold country?
That's cool country up there. I
it
love
is.
that country up there. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. I've spent
But
a lot
one
of time
thing
up
about
there.
Texas is we use 30% wind power.
Yeah.
We get 30% of our energy from wind.
Which is great when the wind blows.
Well, the wind always blows down here. I mean, that isn't a problem in Texas.
Yeah.
And when you don't get shocking winter storms.
Well, let's
Yep.
let's just do this really quickly, and then we'll come back to the when the wind does and doesn't blow thing. Oh, well, I can tell you what this was supposed to say. California's push for rooftop solar not going so well. They changed the rules for how people get compensated for the solar power they sell back to the grid, and the amount of new solar that's being installed on people's rooftops has dropped by 75% since the rule changed last year.
This is why government is just not good at things.
It's not fit for
They're
purpose.
just not good at things. It's not.
Yeah.
Reagan's 9 words.
Well, it's actually really hard
Terrifying.
to deal with stuff. So there's a curve that you get, which essentially is look at the amount of power that you're generating, after you subtract the solar from it. And they call it a duck curve because it looks vaguely like a duck. And with every year, as more and more solar was coming online, that curve was getting deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where you almost didn't have any need for baseline generation in, like around 1 p.m. when the sun was out.
The axis of that curve that's obviously measuring what happens over the course of a day, what the average, what is that, lowest
This is a little better.
net load day. Oh, okay, I see. I got it. Okay.
So the problem
So
is that you've got all this power that comes in the middle of the day. And so, for instance, if you had 10% of your power from nuclear reactors, you either need to sell any excess or you need to, because you can't just spin nuclear reactors up and down to deal with changes in load.
No kidding.
So this amount of stuff that comes from solar and sometimes wind makes, once you get over about 30, 40, 50% renewables, it gets a lot harder to sort of run your grid. The other problem that you run into is this. So energy droughts in wind and solar can last nearly a week.
Yep.
So it's all really great up until you run into one of those weeks where, for whatever reason, the sun just doesn't shine and the wind just doesn't blow.
We need better ways to store the energy that we take in. I mean, we don't have an energy problem. We have an energy storage problem. It's always been that.
Yes and no. I mean,
There's plenty of energy that comes in from the sun. We cannot harness even 1% of what comes in from the sun. There's more than enough energy coming in from the sun to power anything we can think of doing for the next thousands and thousands of years.
Everybody say hi to Kefki.
Hi, Kefki.
Hi, Kefki.
Hug.
but I'm speaking specifically, Skep, to the fact that it just the West in general has been so against nuclear. The strides we make year to year at this point are game changing, and we could totally invest more into that to build more. Again, here our main in Ontario, our main export is electricity, is power, because we have so much nuclear. We have the rights to generate hydroelectric at the Niagara Falls. We don't have an energy problem either. We sell so much to the northeastern seaboard of the United States. It's just how is it at this point people can see this example of my own backyard and go, nah, I think we're just going to keep investing in. I'm not against solar and wind, but I mean, the difference is night and day. There is no downtime with these modern nuclear reactors, basically, especially when they've become so modular that if one goes down, you can pump up energy production 5% from the next 3 reactors to sort of cover the deficit. And as that one's being repaired or replaced, you don't lose much, if any, downtime in the electrical grid. It's I get so frustrated about it,
The thing is, as well, with current reactors or with newer model reactors, you can actually rolling refuel them.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to shut it down.
Problem is, you gotta get all this stuff built. You got to get the stuff approved. You got to get it built. You got to get people accustomed to the idea that this is going to be the solution going forward. The nuclear has a lot of roadblocks, a lot of things it's going to have to overcome, in my opinion. And it's too bad because I think it actually is the solution.
It is. But
I
I
also
agree with
you that, like, if we could improve our storage capacities, that would also be huge for our, air quotes, energy woes.
It's not huge; it's essential. I mean, honestly, we really don't have any choice. Because if we don't, we really just have to resign ourselves to having gas reactors, gas turbines that we can turn on and off quickly. That's the only way. We either do that or we do energy storage, one or the other, because there isn't enough hydro that we can turn on and off to make up the difference in the demand curve. But let me move things further along. So you now know what a duck curve is, so that's fun. Remote work. So there's a bunch of people have been insisting that people go into the office because, you've already talked about this in the past. If I'm paying you good money, when I show up, I want to see people here working hard. Yeah. I honestly think that if you don't need to have people work in the office, much like functional, you know what I'm talking about. You have a restaurant. You have your choice between people paying you the same amount of money to do takeout or sit down and eat in your restaurant. You'll take those takeout orders all day because you're not paying for that chair. Yeah, there's way less overhead. Why wouldn't you want to do that? But a lot of people have just sort of decided that, they want everybody back in the office. So what they're getting is we're seeing this thing that they're calling coffee badging, which essentially means you show up at the office, you swipe in with your badge, you get a cup of coffee, show up in the lunchroom, let some people see you, and then you just take off.
Okay.
Coffee badging.
What about if you have a job that you care about doing?
Yeah.
Which is the jobs that I've always had. I wanted to be at work because I had a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I had things to do. I don't know.
See, I worked from home until I got made redundant, and it's absolutely awful. Right? These people who are, I want to work from home. I missed even though I couldn't stand 90% of the people I worked with, right, which I think is reasonably normal because I just hate humanity generally. But I couldn't. It's the isolation, and it's the whole live in the pod, eat the bugs.
Yeah.
People don't realize what it is that they're signing up for. Sorry, it's the atomization that I'm looking at, and I wouldn't want to do that again. Let me work in the office and I'll be gravy.
Mm-hmm. So what do you guys think about this? Nice segue from one to the other. So Activision QA workers protest new office mandate, calling it a soft layoff. So Activision told its people doing QA for their fine video games, show up in the damn office, or we'll give you the same kind of severance we give people when we usually lay them off. So instead of just sort of pulling up their big boy pants and going in, and then maybe starting to look for a job somewhere else,
they whined about it in public, didn't they?
They whined about it in public, and they were calling it a soft layoff.
Oh,
Yeah.
There was that's not the all of it though, because they were grumblings that they were going to start a union and blah blah blah, and that was going to affect the industry as a whole. It's like, first of all, you're contract workers, you're not employees. A lot of these people are not. There's maybe one or two core QA people who are, and they're generally mid-management because they're the people who are managing people like me who actually just play the damn game and give feedback and find bugs and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's when you look at the kind of work that QA people do for these big games that Activision puts out, I would be more than a little uncomfortable with them working remotely full stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite at the De Beers Diamond Mine, bend over and squat over this mirror with this flashlight type territory, but it's not far behind because you do not want people releasing.
Is it still that tense?
Yeah, you're talking about like the QA stuff or the diamond mines? Because I don't know about the diamond mines.
No, I'm talking about the QA stuff.
Well, I mean, if you've got a AAA game and you've got a bunch of people having access to the beta outside of your restricted networks, I would see that as potentially being a problem.
Yeah, it's a security risk.
It's a security risk because essentially that means that your attack surface for your company includes all of the home networks and home computer equipment of everybody there. So they if they were basically issued a laptop or a computer to do the testing on, right? Even that's still using that person's home network, even with a VPN.
Absolutely.
So depending on what kind of day zero vulnerabilities might be on that equipment, it's not that you can't make it pretty secure. It's just that they figure why should you just get your ass into the office? You're essentially dealing with trade secrets. Do you want your trade secrets floating around all over the place? I wouldn't.
Right.
The only way to make a network absolutely secure is for it to be absolutely air gap.
Yeah. You know how you actually do that? They don't just air gap it, they EM gap it. There's a standard for these things, like secure computing labs in the US called Tempest. And when you go into a Tempest facility, you don't take anything in typically, or not anything that you're planning on taking out. Okay, you go into this sort of man trap type thing, so that this big steel cylinder that you stand in, the doors rotate around. So at no point is there a clear gap of light from the inside of that room to the outside that a radio signal could leak its way out of. The whole thing's in a giant Faraday cage. Mm-hmm. That's how you do security.
Exactly.
The only network that exists is inside that thing. You bring your stuff in, you run your jobs or whatever on whatever supercomputers in the basement, and then you take your results through the approved channels, and then you leave, and then they wipe the entire system, reinstall, and the next person comes in to do their work. Yeah.
That's
another thing.
Yeah.
Another thing about the industry is somebody mentioned it. I think it was Skep. These are AAA developers. Activision is a juggernaut. Ubisoft, EA. These are juggernauts. These are video game companies. They're not the type of stereotype that you would see in like a TV or movie show or whatever. A TV show or a movie. These are very corporate environments. Places like the mid and lower developers, those kind of are the sort of memey, everybody's kind of friends. It's kind of a modern, hip kind of environment to be in.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's still a business, but they are sort of like that stereotype kind of thing. And that kind of stuff floats a little bit more. The hybrid work or working from home or being flexible works better for them because they don't have the push. You know what I mean? Like if you get a job at Blizzard or Activision or whoever, you're kind of set. As long as you play ball, you're going to be set. You're going to be well taken care of by the company. Again, much more corporately minded, but you're still going to be very well taken care of and compensated for your work. and I don't see these guys going out of business. In fact, they're merging at an alarming rate.
Yeah. Well,
when two companies merge, one of them goes out of business. Just saying.
well, this was a story that we talked about in Discord a couple weeks ago, but we didn't get to last week, which was E3 Video Gaming Expo permanently canceled. I mean,
fuck you, I was right. Fuck you, I was right.
I mean,
Okay.
I think the world has kind of moved on in a lot of ways. This is like just not how you market stuff anymore. Am I wrong, Functional? I mean, this isn't how people decide what games they're going to play going to a thing like this.
No, actually, the dynamic has shifted so dramatically that on the topic, related to our previous topic of QA, it's streamers. It's the big talking heads in the video game world, your Asmongold's, your maybe PewDiePie, Markiplier. When they pick up a game, and this is how a lot of these small indie games blew the F up, like just made money hand over fist compared to the money invested in developing these games, is because these streamers, they'll either get in on a beta or they'll be slipped a game key to play it early access or whatever, and people see this and they go, wow, this guy, my favorite streamer, is having such a Jacksepticeye is having such a great time playing this game, and blah 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 blah. Can't wait for it to come out, and then the word of mouth spreads to the people who don't watch them, and it's either that or it's the excuse me, the traditional advertising of like E3 doesn't work anymore. It's also there's also another more insidious thing that we saw with the big evil scary turf game, anti-trans game, Hogwarts Legacy, where there's this sort of like faux drama brewed up and there's a lot of attention that way. But again, the lion's share is through streamers, and then that transfers into the word of mouth as opposed to something like E3, which, yeah, it's kind of gone the way of the dinosaur.
Well, let's, I don't know if we need to comment much more on this. Let me move it to the next thing, which is debt-laden Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Paramount consider merger. I think the joke was on, I know you don't like Critical Drinker, but he had one of his stream things with a bunch of people on, and somebody said these companies are going to merge and take their regular debt and form like a new ball of super debt that somehow will just like cancel it all out.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's why they do this, and it's not.
I know exactly what they're doing.
Paramount. It's Paramount's parent company. Those are the rumblings, and that is even bigger than Warner just picking up Paramount Entertainment. We're talking massive amounts of debt. Their stock is tanking, and they're
shrinking. They're shrinking because of the debt. When they combine like this, the reason that they combine, you understand why they're combining. Do you understand the physical reason what happens to the debt, to their debt situation when they combine?
Enlighten us.
No, but like you just said, one company goes out of business.
So what is this new super debt like, Skep?
Well, what they're going to do is they're going to restructure their debt so that they have a prayer of paying it off, because what they're going to do is go and say, okay, financial backers who stand to lose 100%, would you like to lose 100% or maybe just lose 40%? And they, what we'll do is we'll merge together, you restructure our debt, and our risk picture will look much better because we're going a whole bunch of money, because there's a lot of duplication of function between the companies. That we're going to save all that money, and they do save all that money, and they just cashier all these people, and suddenly you have a much healthier, much more efficient earning machine with basically the same properties to earn for it, and that could be a better thing, and that will enable these people who are the debt backers of these things, the holders of the bonds, the bills, the debentures, all the crap that they enter, the preferred issues stocks of these things that are convertible, usually to a debenture of some sort. The reason that they're doing all that is basically to save something for the investors, for the debt investors.
Yep.
That's what this is going on.
No, that makes perfect sense. That's essentially consolidation 101 for the modern times.
Yes.
So
sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Delivered.
No, that's perfect.
No,
I'm glad you did that. My second question, my second and final question about this topic is, from a competition perspective, do you see the markets becoming less competitive because of this merger? Because I don't necessarily see these.
I don't even think that. I don't think this is even relevant to the market.
I don't think it is relevant.
The market has moved on from these guys and is about that. All the independents are going to really, I believe, take over the provision of entertainment. There are going to be some new colossus that come out of that.
Well, they do a lot of things, Skep. I mean, in terms of movies coming out, I don't see this as being an issue. I'm just curious, is there something that either of these companies do? Like, is there anything that legitimately the EU dickholes are going to come out and say, this is anti-competitive, so this thing can't move forward? Do you see any, is there anything in their portfolios that you see as being potentially an issue from that perspective?
I would have to review that closer than I have. I don't have an informed opinion on that.
What about you, Spud?
I would say that if there was, you'd be seeing it in the press. They'd be talking about it.
I think we would take a few days. I don't think the journalists who cover these things are all that good. I think we do at least as good, if not a better job of talking about it than they do.
Right. You're absolutely right.
I'll be honest, I have no idea about the debt situation and so on, but I hope they all burn in hell.
Yeah. Thanks for ruining Star Trek, you assholes.
With Discovery
Star
and
Trek,
Paramount.
Star Wars, Doctor Who, because Disney were involved in the latest fuckery of Doctor Who.
Let's not even go there. I already brought up Tom Baker, but I think we got away with it.
All right.
Two quick things about this, though.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I don't want to get too depressed.
No, we're all just happy little campers today because it's almost Christmas.
So I think it might be someone might get their panties in a ruffle and try to file. Oh, this is going to be. But the fact of the matter is, even together, Discovery and Paramount streaming services, for example, still is just a few million short of what Netflix averages. So it's not that big of a deal. And that being said, consumer side, what is that going to look like for us? Well, instead of, and this is something I was talking about 2-3 years ago, with these mergers, they see how they cannot compete individually. There's going to have to something come out of these big companies, these traditional entertainment media companies that made their marks on television. They're going to have to consolidate their streaming services because they just cannot compete with the two big juggernauts in Netflix and Hulu.
But okay, Functional. This is a joke, and then we're moving on. Aren't you looking forward to the Animaniacs Star Trek Lower Decks?
All they have to fucking do, Harry, all they have to fucking do is put out good content, and they wouldn't have these fucking problems.
Here's where we align the dilithium crystals.
Message.
And with this, we can power the deflector dish without being annihilated at warp speed. Faboo. It'll be great.
We're just going to use our black girl magic to make the deflector dish do what we want.
Okay. God, we're
dude, that's an actual line from the latest Marvel movie. Don't at me.
Okay. Let's reverse the flow, reverse the polarity of the neutron flux.
I don't know how to fly. Use black girl magic. That's an actual line in the movie.
Oh God.
Really?
Is that literally
word for word, Skep? She says, I don't know how to fly. Nick Fury says, use black girl magic. And she flies.
Is that like when Cartman told Token to play a bass line and he said he didn't know how to play the guitar? Are you not familiar with that scene? Okay. Token's like, I don't know how to play the guitar. And he's like, Token, of course you could play the bass guitar. It's because you're black. And then he just does it and he goes, God damn it. All right, so this here's let's make fun of this person, shall we? over on the X platform. So Misha, this person who was an intern at the Wall Street Journal, let's see, was busy posting about Palestine, right? Gosh, darn it. Technical excellence not happening today. Okay, can we talk about Mr. Beast's silence regarding the war in Gaza and how it exposes him? He could single-handedly finance various groups in Gaza to fight for freedom and help people, but refuses to do so. He hasn't even talked about it yet. And then so somebody said, well, first, that's a felony. Maybe he doesn't want to go to prison. Also, while Israel's actions, blah, 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 blah. And then this stupid intern woman says, no, it's not. Okay. And then, then Community Notes comes back and says, yes, it is.
Yeah, actually,
she says, no, it's not. And then then Community Notes says, no, yes, it is.
La 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 la, I'm not listening. La 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 la.
And nothing like getting bodied by Community Notes. And then she posts a letter of a thing from the Wall Street Journal where they basically got rid of her internship, and she still doesn't understand. Like, she still does not understand.
So is she like the guy who's been demoted? He's now down in the basement. He's not even being paid, but still comes to work in that movie.
Oh, you mean Office Space?
Office Space.
Yeah.
No, this is more like if Private Dobbs annoyed enough people that they sent him to ADAC. It's like your new posting in the Army is ADAC.
Yeah. Actually,
Wait, there is no Army in ADAC.
Post.
No,
That's
well,
a Navy post.
I know that. That's why I said Army. No, you're going to be the one Army guy in ADAC.
Right.
Oh man.
One thing I'm gonna say
Yeah.
is that whilst what she said was stupid, it's not anti-Semitic.
Well, she is stupid.
It was stupidity. Hanlon's razor.
Well, all this river to the sea nonsense it's hard not to look at it as being anti-Semitic. Once you drill down into
When
what
you say
it means,
river to the sea,
it's
that is-
anti-Semitic.
It's anti-Semitic. It's directly anti-Semitic. It means killing all of the Jews.
Okay, so
That's
this
not
is
what she said.
okay. This is inadvertently getting heavy for something that's supposed to be a palate cleanser. Let me
All right, anyway, go back.
let me
Put it-
see here. Hold on. So how
Bye,
about
Misha.
this? Taylor Swift facts. Taylor Swift can now buy Kanye West and still have $700 million left for herself. So Community Notes came back and said Taylor Swift cannot buy Kanye West as this was abolished in 1865 in the United States.
Well played.
Yes.
Well
Man, Community Notes is great, isn't it?
That's well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that the other week. It was the other day. Sorry, it was brilliant.
Yeah,
So what about?
I had not seen this.
So just another little cleanser here. So we'll just go through them. So this is Scottish Twitter. It's literally its own world. Ask the bird and Krispy Kremes for 5 Nutella donuts. She says, "Have you got any nut allergies?" "I, pal, I'm planning suicide by donut." Why do folk ask baby stupid shite lit? You're getting big, aren't you? As if the wee gut's gonna be my. I can't even read this fucking stuff. This is
more your spot and I'm on the protein.
Scotland is just so Scotland sometimes.
Yeah.
So here's a Scottish child talking. Okay, this is like a kid that's probably 2 years old from Scotland, and I can't understand anything she's saying.
You want the garlic meal out Aldi? What else do you want me to get
Hang
you?
on. Got to turn it off.
Nothing?
Sausages for the
You
caravan,
want to
I
eat
ate
two of
too.
them, did you? Want some? Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah?
It's such a sweet.
For the caravan,
She's unintelligible at like the age of 2. The Scottish accent is just like, holy crap. God damn. Sorry you can't actually see that.
We
Man.
can now.
You can now. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
after the
Oh.
fact.
That's just sweet. Those big eyes.
So what was the other video thing I was going to show you?
Just got 4 drinks at the drive-thru and that guy asked, "Do you want a couple?" Obviously I do, you fucking reprobate.
Oh,
I'm
so
not a fucking octopus.
Okay, I have one more, and this one you don't need to see the video, but the video is funny anyway.
I'm Scottish and I can't fucking understand them.
Okay, here's one more, and then we'll get back to not being too serious.
If humans can only hold their breath for 10 minutes, then how was Louis Armstrong able to become the first man on the moon?
Oh, good God.
Amateur.
I am in space on the moon. Help! I am losing oxygen. I'm gonna suffocate. I'm gonna die on the moon. And I think to myself, I'm gonna die on the moon.
Okay, I apologize. Oh, yeah. What were we doing? We were talking about something.
Reprobates? I don't know.
There's so much stuff.
See, I love it because like they talk like so weird, and then they throw in a word like reprobate. Like you don't even have like Englishmen or Americans or Canadians using the word reprobate.
Oh, I use reprobate. It's an absolutely brilliant word, but it's highly context specific. And you can't just throw out reprobate randomly.
No.
You know, for it to work, it has to be. So, yeah, and reprobate works there.
Yeah.
So we'll go for that.
I can understand everything she said. What is wrong with Harry? No, I understood it, but I had to try.
To work that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to get worse as she gets older. But she really wants to go in the caravan, i.e., the camper trailer thing. So, you know,
Aye.
that kid.
Sausages in the caravan.
Yeah, she just wants to eat sausages in the camper. Why not? She's two.
Aye, she ate two.
Simple goals. Yeah.
Yeah, to a Scottish Presbyterian, though, what reprobate means is because that was a grace doctrine, that was not a deeds doctrine, the Scottish version of Presbyterianism. The stuff that came down from Knox was there were people who were destined to be saved and others, and they were called the elect. And there were those who were not. And the ones who were not of the elect were called the reprobate. That's actually an old theological term, used long before it was ever used as a just to call somebody morally lazy. I think that's what it means.
Well, shall we talk about? I'm going to skip over some stuff that'll wait until next week, just because we've got people missing who might want to chime in on it. But this we can talk about. Sorry. The Ancient Magus's Bride manga returns, getting simultaneous English release using AI translation. So there's a manga that's being produced, and instead of waiting around for somebody to translate it into English, they've realized they can just use AI to do it. Congratulations.
Oh, no.
Welcome to the future. Apparently, there's been some controversy about progressive people doing the translations and mucking with the translations for reasons that have nothing to do with the source material. Have you heard about this, Functional? Well, you're not really a weeb. We don't really have a weeb here. And don't call me a weeb, because I'm not.
You're such a fucking weeb.
I know. I don't
just
even
in
have.
denial.
I don't have a 2D girlfriend or a body pillow. So
No,
leave me alone.
I mean,
Weed Nile.
I know, if I see something, I like it, but yeah, like I'm so far removed from knowing anything anime.
Yes,
Sorry.
same here.
Well, this is actually a pretty simple thing for AI to do. I mean, this is easy.
and
It's like, wait,
I
well,
assume it's good.
Well, and they don't have to do like the voice people do. This is just a manga. They don't have to worry about lip syncing and localization and stuff. They can just throw it to the AI and say, "Here you go. We can now release it the same two languages same time."
I know one of the problems with this, with the explosion of manga, is they can't translate it fast enough to get it to Western markets.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's causing a stopgap in the middle of the pipeline that for an industry that's exploding here with the downfall of Western entertainment avenues. I know manga has just exploded, and it was gaining momentum when I was, you know,
That they
90s
can't get
and
it.
beyond,
They can't get it translated.
not fast enough.
That seems
Because it has to be printed and all this, and
solvable.
I mean it's a manual thing because it's not like a word for word translation, Skep. Like the languages are so completely different that you not only need somebody who can read write both languages fluently, but who can also change sentence structures to make sense without changing the meaning of the words, if that makes sense.
Who are editors at the same time. They're capable.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
It's a lot of work.
People say I don't read the chat, but clearly I am tonight. Somebody's saying, I don't even have a 2D body pillow. That's a fast anti-weeb defense. I know, okay, surprising no one, I once came up with a test to determine if somebody was a weeb. I assigned certain weeb-like behaviors and then put point scores next to them. Okay, and I solved this like an engineer, and I had all these different things, like, you know, tries to use Japanese in conversation all the time, yada yada, this whole list of things, and you needed 10 points to be considered a weeb, and then I think I had 2D, you know, girlfriend body pillow, and I just put 100,000 next to it, because I think if you have that, you just crossed over the line. So yeah, I have actually thought about this before, and I've decided that you really can't argue that you're not a weeb if you're snuggling up with some anime girl in pillow form. So yes, I have thought about this before. That's why it was so quick. Sorry, what were we talking about? I was just being defensive.
Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon. She's, never mind. I was going to make a really bad joke after the thing that we had earlier.
Pass. Just kidding.
Sailor Moon? Oh, that's a pass. She's very confused. That would be way too much work, Skep.
Yeah, I can fix her.
No.
I'll just buy her a house.
She's got one cat that she talks to, doesn't she? That's more than enough.
Yeah, Luna.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah, no.
Like Sora Luna.
No. Also in the AI world, workhorse commercial cargo plane makes unprecedented flight with no one on board. This is actually taking place in Silicon Valley. It was a Mountain View AI company that essentially there's this cargo plane that I'd never heard of before called a 208 Cessna Caravan. It took off from Hollister Municipal Airport with no pilot on board. And there was a failsafe. There was a human who could have controlled it remotely. But it went and flew this thing around using AI. And they're claiming this is a good thing because these types of small cargo planes are often sent into areas with rough conditions, yada, 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 which all just sounds like marketing justification to me, because you know if they're going to do this on one plane, retrofitting this AI piloting stuff, that they're going to it to a lot of others too. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
I'll tell you how I feel about it as an av geek. It's an absolutely fucking stupid idea, and whoever thought of it should be taken out back behind the chemical sheds and beaten with sticks until they realise the error of the ways. Okay.
Yeah, and that's pretty fucking aggressive zero defects program.
Yeah.
You know, because the thing is, it's right, you've got some gimp couple of 100 miles away who's, hey, I'm here if something goes wrong. No, you're not. Right, because when you're actually flying, you've got, depending on the aircraft, for example, something like a Caravan, Cessna Caravan, you're going to have tactile feel of what the aircraft's actually doing. Okay, you are not going to be able to flip all the switches you need to. For example, you're in a piston aircraft, your engine fails, what do you do?
Well, you're definitely not going to land it on the Hudson. I know that. I think experience and judgment are actually worth something. I don't have a problem with an enhanced autopilot. And
No, if you
I
look
think
at-
that's totally fine, but I like the idea that there's a human being there to take the controls if anything happens that it just isn't prepared for.
Well, here's the thing, right? And this still makes me chuckle, right? To fly a modern aircraft, you need two things. You need a man and a dog, right? The dog's there to make sure the man doesn't touch anything, and the man's there to make sure the dog gets fed. Okay, because modern airliners can basically gate, not quite gate to gate, but they can take you from runway to runway. Okay, and I mean right down through the landing process. So if you look at Boeing and Airbus, because they're the two main ones, right, they can absolutely, with the autopilot systems they've got and the control systems they've got, they can absolutely fly themselves. The reason that you've got two men on board, men being the mankind kind of thing, is because when things go caca, the computer can't deal with it. Sorry. I'll get back in me box.
No, it's okay. Let's talk about how terrible the ocean is. So you may have heard about this story that supposedly some people associated with SETI thought they would try out communicating with a humpback whale.
Okay.
Because Star Trek, you can't get on that talk to the humpbacks too soon
Nuclear vessels
thing.
Alameda.
And it was really not anything particularly complicated. They played some recorded whale sounds. The whale was interested, it came over, then it sort of went away, then they played more sounds and it came over. I don't really feel like they've accomplished much of anything. It's not like they had a whale in a tank and started flashing hydrogen atoms and basic math formulas at it.
Right.
I mean, it's just...
Said, oh, logarithmic spiral, golden ratio.
To call this a conversation seems not really like a very honest thing. So using a recorded humpback's contact call played through the sea through an underground speaker, there's a word for underground speaker, but we'll just call it an underground speaker, underwater speaker. The scientists were amazed as Twain, the name of the whale, approached and circled their boat, responding to in a conversational manner to the whale's greeting signal. Okay, this is dumb. I'm not even going to keep talking about this. This is stupid. This is just
making me sad.
This is just making me sad. Okay.
Yeah. Why was his name Twain? Did
I don't know.
The humpback whale say, "My name is Twain"? If the humpback whale didn't say that, then that's not its name.
That's
its
right.
Name is whatever it thinks its name is, and it probably is not Twain.
So this is another great science article. Scientists debug idea that dogs can communicate with talking buttons. Now, who was it that thought that dogs could communicate with talking buttons? I know there's videos where people have trained the dog to press on these buttons on the floor, like if it wants food or wants to be let out or something.
Yeah.
And okay, dogs are really smart, but that's not a conversation. That's not really communication. That's just training.
Right.
You know.
It's still not intelligence. Sorry.
I mean, they were able to train bees to navigate guided bombs to,
right.
You know, if you can train a bee to basically fly a guided bomb.
Pigeons.
Yeah.
Pigeons to guide missiles.
Yeah. No, this is just stupid. Just absolutely stupid. So what about this? The French Laundry issues cease and desist letter to California Cannabis Company. So we may have remembered that during the pandemic, Gavin Newsom got together with a bunch of his rich friends and went to the French Laundry, arguably one of the best restaurants in the world. Very expensive in sort of north of the Golden Gate part of California.
Sausalito.
Yeah, it's a very fine restaurant.
Down there by Ondine's, where Ondine's used to
Hang on, the French Laundry.
That's what that's what it's called, yeah. What, you don't like the name?
French Laundry?
It's a restaurant that Thomas Keller started, and
Amazing restaurant.
it's an amazing restaurant. He's an amazing guy. He definitely knows what the hell he's talking about. But a cannabis company decided, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we just name one of our strains of weed French Laundry? The people who run the expensive, swanky, world-famous restaurant took umbrage at this and sent them a cease and desist letter.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think there's a whole lot of if it actually went to court, and I'm obviously no lawyer, they're in completely different industries. But
doesn't matter.
But
doesn't
why?
Matter. Here's the thing. I'll just tell you what this is going to hinge on right now.
Okay.
This is something called goodwill. Goodwill is actually itemized and frequently exists as an entry on balance sheets, on end of year balance sheets. And it's not just a forced figure. There is real value in the name, the French Laundry, and what that means. And if somebody comes out and says, hey, this is a strain of weed, or this is a line of condoms, or a line of, toilet paper or whatever, then they could say, no, that's taking our goodwill. They're making money on ours and damaging it at the same time. We get hurt two ways. And that's very pursuable, very, very likely successful.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it does. I think it does actually matter. I mean,
You'll at least get a cease and desist.
You will absolutely get a cease and desist. And as you point out, anybody can sue anything for any reason. I have a good friend who got into a contract dispute with. I won't say who it is, but it's that guy who paints those really annoying saccharine, diabetes-inducing paintings.
Yes.
And rather than fight with that person and their giant raft of lawyers, he's just like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Here, have it. Leave me alone. There's always reasons to walk away from stuff like that. But trademarks where there's no risk of confusion and there's really no reputational damage that you can demonstrate, there are trademarks that are used by different entities under some circumstances. It's not a hard and fast rule that, like, for instance, T-Mobile trademarked the color magenta in association with telecommunications. That doesn't mean that you can't use the color magenta in marketing for things that have nothing to do with cell phone service.
No.
Right? So, but you're absolutely right. There's no upside to this. You just, well, I will tell you one little quick story. So, for the longest time, Apple did not have any kind of PDA. So you could get these little Windows CE things, like the little compact thing with the stylus and the Palm Pilot and stuff. But you may have noticed that Apple did not have any kind of PDA product that you could buy in the 90s.
Right.
So they actually finally said, yeah, maybe we should do something like this. This is before the iPhone and all that sort of stuff came out. And so they put together a project to look at making an Apple PDA. And I actually have seen some of the early prototypes and stuff. I was sort of peripherally involved with this thing. That's how I know about it. They wanted to actually name the thing after, of all people, Carl Sagan, because he was really big after Cosmos and all this stuff, and all these people looked up to him. So they gave the project sort of this code name. They were going to call it the Sagan. And Carl Sagan caught word of it and sent them a cease and desist letter because he didn't want to have anything to do with that particular thing, even as like an internal design name that people would mention in the press. So they renamed it, the project from Sagan to the Butthead Astronomer.
Oh, that's funny.
So the project, the device they were building, codenamed Sagan, had its codename changed to the Butthead Astronomer.
Oh, that's hilarious. Carl Sagan, one of the most famous code names, was Apple's internal shorthand for the Power Macintosh 7100, which they referred to as the Carl Sagan because they'd make billions and billions on the sale. Sagan, an astronomer, was known for his billions and billions quote. Sadly, Carl didn't see the funny side and took Apple to court for his team without permission. Apple's engineers then changed the code to read BHA instead of Carl Sagan, BHA being shorthand for butt-headed astronomer. Sagan didn't find this particularly funny either and switched his suit to libel. Apple finally settled out of court, ending up using LAW, lawyers are wimps, as their internal code name, and paid him a big pile of money.
Wow. I hadn't heard that last part.
Yep, it's a true story.
Yeah, I only knew about it because I was sort of on the periphery of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, perhaps privately, you could let me know.
That's most of it, but I mean, there's a little more to the story than that. But yeah, right. Well, we weren't talking about me and my stupid past. Let's see.
Oh, you've had a very interesting past.
So, what do you think of this, Star Trek fans? Remember the dolmen of Elas and the dilithium crystals? And do you remember that episode? Oh, wait, I forget. Functional doesn't like TOS, right?
I understand dilithium crystals. I'm all about that. But
there was this uppity. They were trying to arrange for peace, this marriage, political marriage between the dolmen of Elas, whose I guess their planet had a bunch of dilithium crystals on it. She was a bore and terrible and stuff, but it turned out that her tears had the ability to basically make men worship her. And the whole premise of the episode was that, Captain Kirk, being the studly captain that he was able to shake off the effect of it without Bones curing him, just because his sense of responsibility as the ship's captain overrode any kind of biological warfare that her tears were committing.
Like magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was thinking of that when I saw this article. Women's tears chemically diminish male aggression. Oh, sorry. Women's tears diminish male aggression. That's a terrible title. Men exposed to women's tears showed a 40% reduction in aggressive behavior. Brain imaging revealed decreased activity in aggression-related regions when men sniffed women's tears. The control was saline, by the way.
Yeah, I want to see the design of that study.
The study provides evidence of social chemosignaling affecting human aggression similar to findings in animals. It was published December 21st in the Open Access Journal in PLOS Biology. So
to be fair, women's tears give me an erection.
Was this a study of studies, or did they gather their own?
I'm putting the link in the public chat for everybody to take a look at. It's sad that they have this science article, supposedly, good or bad or otherwise, and the first thing I think of is Star Trek. That just sort of shows the way my brain works. Because I'm not really a biology person for the most part. But, man, the number of... The deck is just so stacked against us, poor men. Are we really this helpless that all women have to do is cry and we'll calm down? I really hope this isn't true.
I think they're mistaking that seeing a woman crying tends to bring out the protector instinct.
Yeah, but there's no woman present. They're just sniffing her tears versus salt water while they run a series of tests to measure aggression.
Yeah, I think this is just raw research. I don't think this is much of a... I don't think they've proved anything. I think they've noticed some things.
That doesn't prove anything. This is just, here's a thing we observed. Is it interesting?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I get.
It's a MacGuffin.
I'm not ignoring the chat all the time. Let's see. Airbus computers love killing people. Yeah, that's a problem. You should probably do something about that, Europe. I really try not to fly on Airbus airplanes. I just don't like them.
Yeah.
I'm actually reasonably tall person, and a lot of it's in my torso. So I remember that time I was in DC and I tried to die. I ended up trying to get back early. I gave up a first class seat to sit in coach on an Airbus 3 something, and they put me on a window seat, and I literally had to curve my spine along the contour of the outside of the airplane. It was the most uncomfortable airplane trip I had ever been on, and I did it just to get home early. That's the dumbest thing ever. if you happen to be lucky enough to have somebody give you a first-class ticket on an airplane, don't give it up just to go home 3 or 4 hours early. Just get drunk in the airport lounge.
Yeah,
like a normal person.
Like a normal person. Take a nap. You know,
that was the great thing about flying as much as I did. Every place I flew first class. Just about always. Rarely flew in back.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that was cool.
Let's see. So let's not talk about that one right now.
What?
Oh crap! We can't talk about that one either because we don't have an XX chromosome person here. Damn it. Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Well, we'll have to go back and talk about some of these other things here. Well, I have a thing about data centers, but I think we might want to hold off on that one. And then I have a section I call super good journalism, which will mostly just make us angry. So let's not talk about either of those things.
Well, how about we do one of the super good journalism?
Well, those will just make people angry. Let's just talk about this really quickly. Functional, are you back or are you dying?
What? I'm here.
Okay, I thought you might have walked away. So, this whole thing about nuclear power, one of the issues is enough uranium. Well, turns out there's a method that some people have come up with that makes extracting uranium from seawater in commercially profitable amounts possible. Yes, they're still working on it, but...
A byproduct is...
Of what?
Of this is what?
I don't know. What? Heat, probably.
Electricity.
Oh. Also generates electricity. This is actually the one that I looked at. Promising material provides a simple, effective method capable of extracting uranium from seawater. Wouldn't this be great? I mean, maybe not from a proliferation perspective. There's certainly people we don't necessarily want getting their hands on uranium. But, you can extract... There's a lot of things that we commercially extract from seawater already. Like magnesium, for instance, can be extracted from seawater commercially without too much trouble.
Let's just take a step back just for a moment. Okay. I'm not Thunderfoot or anything.
Okay.
But extracting uranium from seawater is going to involve running a lot of seawater through something that pulls the uranium out.
Correct.
And there is not very much uranium in seawater.
Oh, sorry. Well, this one says seawater. This one actually says wastewater. But let me, if you look at groundwater in a lot of parts of the United States, like for
instance, a different story.
Okay, but still, the technology, even if seawater is not a good place to try this, groundwater is certainly a good one.
Groundwater is much better.
There's a very non-trivial amount of uranium in many parts of the United States and the Central Valley of California, which is still part of the United States.
Everybody's uranium. Yeah, it's all in there.
Yeah, because if you didn't have to deal with Africa and all of the bullshit that's involved in dealing with Africa in order to get your uranium, that would make your life a lot easier. We have enough here in the United States for quite a while.
New Mexico and Montana can supply all of our uranium needs forever.
And if we switch to thorium, we can just largely not care.
Right, exactly. Just
we have tons and tons and tons of thorium.
Yep.
Given that there's a bunch of places in parts of the U.S. where filtering out uranium from water is expensive, it'd be interesting if this technology could make safe drinking water for people, because you really don't want to ingest a bunch of alpha emitters.
No shit.
It's like we already get enough radioactive potassium from bananas and well water and stuff like that.
What kind of cancer do you want?
If you look at the amount of radiation that a person gets on average, the bulk of it, I can't remember. No, that's not true. It's what is it, like 20 or 30 millirems a year from potassium, depending on your diet and where the water is, where you live. You get a certain amount from aircraft travel.
Hang on, I got to look it up.
It's a non-trivial amount of radiation you get just from ingesting potassium that's has some radioactive isotopes in it. There's a certain amount you get from carbon radioactive carbon and the CO2 that you breathe in. There's, of course, cosmic rays that make it through the atmosphere. Medical processes like, dental x-rays and things like that. And, of course, travel is another big one. And some people are lucky enough to have radon and crap in their basement. That's no bueno.
If you live in Colorado, that's a big problem.
Yeah, just
Colorado,
ventilate
Montana.
it. Just ventilate it.
Don't they have radon sensors in most basements?
Yeah. On average, Americans receive radiation, this is from NRC, Americans receive a radiation dose of about 0.62 rem, so 620 millirem each year.
Mm-hmm.
And about a half of that dose comes from natural background radiation. Most of the rest comes from food and water.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in places where there's a lot of uranium in the water, that's kind of a deal breaker. It's not quite as bad as the radon in the basement, which is really hot.
Yeah, that is a actual hazard. And everybody's got radon detectors in Colorado. If you have a basement, you have a radon detector. Believe me.
Yeah, you pretty much have to.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have a basement just for that reason, just for the simple reason they don't want to accumulate radon infused oxygen and have it fume up through their house.
Oh wait, this topic is too topical, so we can't actually put it off. Okay.
Okay.
I was doing some research, and of course, in terms of like who's been in the most number of Christmas movies, because if you ask somebody this, they almost all say Tim Allen, but then they forget about all the stupid Hallmark movies. Now,
Wow.
Dean Cain has been in a ton of different Christmas movies. I counted it, I think, somewhere around 14 or 15.
Wow.
And you would think that would actually put him at the top, but there are some people, I can't remember who the winner is. It's not Danica McKellar, from her from the Wonder Years. She's got 16. This idiot here, let me make him bigger in his stupid face. He's got 20. Then we've got this guy with his, I guess he's supposed to have good-looking features. He looks rather chiseled, doesn't he? He's got 27.
27.
Can you imagine being in 27 Christmas movies?
That's a career.
That's a career.
Love Struck Cafe.
He released 4
Perfect
movies:
Catch.
Love on Ice, The Perfect Catch, Love Struck Cafe, and Snowed in Christmas. That's just in 1 year that he did those 4. It's just absolutely terrible. So this Candace Cameron Bure person, this woman on the left here, she's got 29. She is, as far as I can determine, the queen of Christmas movies. I mean, what do you put on your tombstone if that's what you've been doing?
What does that do to your soul?
I don't know.
This would break me.
You're going to own a lot of scarves that you just take home from wardrobe on those movies, I think. Oh, wait, I didn't realize Lacey Chabert from...
Wait a minute.
Yeah, she's got
more.
32. I hadn't realized she'd pulled ahead. Yeah, so she's got 32. She's been in 32 of these.
She may have made more movies in the time that you called up the article. And
That's possible.
The article.
She was in A Merry Scottish Christmas. I wonder if we can understand anything that anybody says on that thing.
Loud Holly.
Yeah, good times.
Good stuff. A Merry Scottish Christmas.
That's kind of nice, though, because most of the Hallmark movies, I mean, they're trash, but they're sort of feel-good trash.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, you could work for Disney. So, yeah.
I hear they're hiring.
QA engineers. No, wait, that's a different thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think, well, Skep, you've got plans for the holidays, and I'm sure you've got like a big family nearby. So I think you're pretty much guaranteed a good time.
Yeah. Actually, we've had most of our Christmas already because of people's schedule when they're passing through and so forth. So it's actually going to be a very quiet day, it's probably just going to be me and Mrs. Skep hanging out at the house. Probably have, the grandkids or daughters will come by possibly. But my son and daughter, we've already had Christmas with both of them, and that's pretty much our big Christmas. We make some phone calls, but it's going to be a quiet Christmas this year. And the kids are getting older now. They're, after they get about 15 or 16, that's the weird thing about grandkids. They stop coming around because they have driver's licenses. They don't need us anymore. It's just good. That's a good thing.
Well, isn't there just a natural sort of drive for people to want to get out of the nest and get away? That's just sort of
absolutely
good for human communities. I mean, you don't want them having failure to launch.
Well, that's the other thing is, in our household, that's the way it is. You're launched when you're 18. You're launched. You are launched. You are thrown out of the house.
Can't you at least? I mean, you let them finish high school, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They all have to finish high school. They have to graduate. We help them, buy a car and get set up and have a job and all that stuff, and then they're on their own. They move out.
Here's a laundry bag and a roll of quarters. You might notice that because we care about you, we wrote your name on the bag. So
yeah, exactly.
you can use it to carry clean or dirty laundry.
Welcome to life.
Yeah.
It's. Have you seen that picture of the birds in the nest, and like the mama bird kicking the baby bird out and going, "Fly, bitch"?
No.
Well, it's not quite like that, but we do try and raise them to be independent enough to where they want to be out on their own, and they all have so far.
Yeah, you basically set it up so that as soon as they're old enough, they can spread the wings, but they know that they can come back either because things have gone to shit or they need some advice.
Oh, we won't let them starve, that's for sure.
Yeah. Maybe go a little bit hungry, just see, this is what happens.
No, it's never a problem.
No, absolutely.
I don't think they celebrate Christmas in Canada, right? Right, Functional?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Did Trudeau get rid of...
Oh, wait, that's Thanksgiving. You guys have your own weird Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
With their own bacon.
Yeah. You've got your own bacon, including that pea meal bacon. That stuff's bizarre.
What is it?
They have like...
They call it Canadian bacon, but it's just like pork belly that's been cured with pea meal on one side, on the fatty side. So you get
pea meal.
Yeah.
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 It's cornmeal. I don't know why they call it pea meal bacon, because it's cornmeal.
I don't know why they put cornmeal on the side of their bacon. That's...
Because it adds a bit of crispiness to...
That's weird.
It's good. It's good.
I don't know what
Even
pea
the
meal
English
is.
guy
I
is
can't believe
it's
it's pea meal.
Pea meal bacon, yes.
Pea meal bacon, I see it.
Yeah.
You guys know it as Canadian bacon? I think?
This is what we call ham. Pea meal bacon
ham
is
is
what we
ham.
call ham. This is ham.
Ham is
This is ham.
ham.
This is ham. Pea meal bacon, no. Canadian bacon and pea meal bacon. In Canada, Canadian bacon is also known as back bacon or pea meal bacon, since it often gets stored in ground yellow peas or cornmeal. But pea meal bacon is a wet cured, unsmoken back bacon, so it's from the back, not from the belly. It's made from trimmed, lean, boneless pork loin rolled in cornmeal. All right. It's found mainly in Ontario. Toronto pork packer William Davies, who moved to Canada from England in 1854, is credited with its development.
I've just never understood the cornmeal part of it. That's the thing that because it.
Yeah,
I mean, it
what is
starts
the
out
deal?
being
Why?
it starts out being pork, so it's automatically going to be really good,
Bacon,
right?
good.
Yeah.
Cornmeal, good.
But why at the same time?
The brine. Okay, Here.
Just
It
fuck
is
you,
made
that's
from
why.
center cut corn loin, trimmed to fat, wet, cured in a salt and sugar brine, and rolled in cornmeal. It can be cooked, sliced, grilled, fried, griddled, blah blah blah, roasted, sliced, served. Brining process makes it impossible to overcook. You hear that?
Right.
The brining process makes it nearly impossible to overcook. The low fat content keeps it juicy, and the cornmeal gives it a crispy edge.
Oh
That's why
God,
the
I've just
cornmeal.
hang on, Skep, 1 second. I've just had a look, and it was an Englishman that invented it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh,
William
sorry.
Davies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Davies. He's actually from Texas.
Yeah.
I've actually looked at it because it did sound weird, but I can kind of see why it would work. You know, it's kind of like you do a honey roast on a ham, but you're using pea meal. Yeah?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about pineal gland.
No.
bacon.
No.
That's what I assumed it was, and I have a lot of those little things.
Yeah.
Are you talking about? Do they cut it off the cysts? Wait for a big old cyst to grow on that thing, and then cut the bacon off of that?
So what do you think of this picture I'm showing, Skep?
Let me get back. Make it big enough. There we go. Oh yeah, man.
look at those.
I have been in that life.
You are not going to have problems with sexual harassment in that workplace.
Yeah, that's a handsome bunch of women.
Yeah, hang on. May I say, left-hand side, woman towards the back, white shirt.
Yeah, no, that's workable. That's kind of a, she's got kind of a Jane Russell vibe going on. So if you're into that, then you're all set.
And then
A
that
handsome
school
woman.
momish type look. So
These all look like women that will tell you to lower your voice if you make any noise.
Yes, exactly. They all have the librarian look.
Yeah, it's a bit of that. Hey, oh wait, I can't click on that because that's a video. Because bad things happen. It tries to download the video and just screws everything up. Let's see. We're gonna save that for later.
Mm-hmm. And then I've just noticed you've got about 11 million tabs open.
I do. I just want to leave you with this Calvin and Hobbes. Hobbes is like, look at all the snow. Calvin, I'm being tested. Calvin, we got this snow, so I'd be tempted to smack Susie with a slush ball and forfeit all my Christmas presents.
I love Calvin and Hobbes so much.
Yeah, good times. Good times.
Bill
Good
Watterson,
times.
what did he understand about humanity?
Everything.
Yeah. He just really does. He just really got it. Gets it.
Yeah. Well, we've done our 2 hours. I think we put in a
wish a Merry Christmas to all.
It is time to wish a Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night.
And a Festivus for the rest of us.
I mean, it's been fun. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me all the time. I mean, a lot of you guys have been streaming with me for like years now. We've been doing this for a long damn time, and it's still fun. It's still fun, which is actually
Thank you for
great.
making the effort, Harry. Thank you so much for putting this together. I know how busy you are, and I appreciate it.
And some of you folks that don't necessarily want to be on the show, send me a link. We actually hang out after the show and have some good chats. So if you want to join us for the after show sometime, just, shoot me a link in Discord. We're actually pretty friendly people. Well, this has been your Minions of the Zoo for Saturday. Thank you, panel. Thank you, chat. Zoo's closed. Bye.
Good night, everybody.